Hey, the woman responsible for the Women's Suffrage Memorial statue that you see every time you go to Market Square in downtown Knoxville is with us this afternoon. Wanda Sobieski, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, of course, you've come dressed in your women's suffrage era best. Explain this.
Well, this is the preferred parade outfit, a white dress, a hat, and the suffrage banner. This says Votes for Women. This was Alice Paul's, the National Women's Party's banner, and it is gold, white, and violet to stand for Give Women Votes.
Which happened in 1920.
Code.
Yes, the secret
finally.
code. I love that. Yes, you said finally. And let's talk about the Tennessee story around the passage of the 19th Amendment. It's significant and it's unique.
Yes, it is. But 36 states had to ratify the amendment for it to become law. And so when it passed out of Congress in 1919, states rushed to ratify, but mostly from the North. The South was pretty negative on women's suffrage. And then in 1920, in the early months of 1920, the ratification slowed down. Some of the states that were expected to vote for ratification voted against ratification. And so they were down to the line, last chance before the 1920 presidential election. And at that time, for a reason I'll be telling on Thursday.
Yes, we'll talk about that in a moment.
For that reason, they chose Tennessee and had as the last hope to get that vote before the 1920 election. And it was wild. It went first to the Senate and passed very quickly and easily. It went to the House. There were weeks of terrible, raucous debates, just awful things going on, bribery and all kinds of things happening. And then the women who were pro-suffrage took yellow roses and pinned them on the lapels of the men who promised to vote for suffrage. They were all men in the
of course,
legislature.
back then.
Yeah. And so they got up in the balcony to watch the vote and counted up the roses, and it was a dead tie.
Wow.
It was going to lose. They had to have a majority. And so when the vote started, the seventh person to answer the roll call to vote was Harry Byrne from right here in East Tennessee, Nyota, just down the road. And he was wearing a red rose, which meant that was the anti-suffrage symbol. He was going to vote against it, and he had voted with the antis.
But who talked him into voting?
Well, he stood up in his red rose, and he voted yes for suffrage. And a riot broke out, literally. The governor called in the National Guard. Later, they tried to charge him with bribery, and when he was called before the House to answer for that vote, he pulled a letter out of his coat pocket. He received that morning, the morning of the vote, from his mother, who had asked him to be a good boy and vote for suffrage.
I love it.
So
I love that story, and that's behind the statue that's at Market Square. Okay, we're almost out of time. You're speaking at the Women's Fund Luncheon on Thursday, and you're going to share more of how all this came about.
Yes, and in particular, we call this one the Showdown because there was an armed conflict at the old Knox County Courthouse that still stands.
We look forward. I know this is a sold-out event, but we want you to know more about what the Women's Fund does, learn more online, and we'll be following all they do to help women be empowered and become self-sustaining. And your message goes right along with that.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Wanda, for being with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, an amazing story, amazing history there, that is for sure. All right, thanks, guys.